And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. I hope you guys have enjoyed the segments thus far. Really exciting, versatile segments that I was really excited to present to you guys. But coming up now, we have another intriguing segment. We're going to be looking at rookie projections for fantasy football in terms of stats and where they might go in certain fantasy drafts. This is a very exciting crop of rookies that we have on our hands in the NFL. One of the better classes in recent memories in terms of all position groups as well. And so it's going to be a really intriguing breakdown of how these players might pan out in their upcoming rookie seasons. And so without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now let's start off with a player who's getting overlooked in a position group where he was taken the highest out of that position group, Marvin Harrison Jr. There's a reason the Arizona Cardinals drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. And it's not just because his dad is a Hall of Famer. It is because he's a high-level receiver out of Ohio State. I could see him going as high as the second round in a 1QB league. I think he's going to be a fantastic asset for this Arizona Cardinals team. He is projected to have 158.9 fantasy points this season, over 1,200 yards and 6 TDs. And I honestly think those stats are a bit too low for him. I think Kyler Murray is immediately going to utilize him as his number one go-to wide receiver on a team where the receiver room is very, very thin. And so Marvin Harrison definitely can't be underestimated in this position. Obviously, there are some guys out there who might be more appealing in better situations than Marvin Harrison Jr., but the Arizona Cardinals, at the very least, have a proven quarterback in Kyler Murray, who, when he does have the weapons, has the potential to get the ball to them. And so having a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. on your team definitely elevates not only you, but Marvin Harrison Jr. as well, because of the fact he's going to want to better this Arizona Cardinals team as they make that transition. And so I could see him, at the very least, getting 1,200 yards, maybe even 8 or 10 touchdowns, in my humble opinion. And in terms of Superflex League, I could see him going third round, obviously, because different positions are at a different premium in the Superflex Leagues, and he could also get, like I said, over 8 to 10 targets a game to get him to that high touchdown total and that high yards total as well. So look at Marvin Harrison Jr. Do not sleep on him. And then another receiver who I think a lot of people are going to give a look at, but definitely has a much worse quarterback situation, is Malik Nabers. Obviously, he's going to become immediately one of the best receivers Daniel Jones has ever had at his disposal. But he is one of those guys who might be taken much later in fantasy drafts than expected. He is seen as more of a round 6 guy in all formats. Maybe in a PPR league where receptions could be key, and obviously Daniel Jones is definitely one of those guys who prides himself on short to intermediate areas of the field. Maybe in PPR leagues he could step up and be closer to a 5th round pick. He is projected to have 129.3 fantasy points next season. He's also projected to go over 1,000 yards at 1,002. He's projected to have 5 touchdowns, obviously a little bit lower than Marvin Harrison Jr. But that, of course, is due to the quarterback situation there. But Malik Nabers can be a very interesting, volatile pick. I think he can sit on your bench for a couple of weeks. You'll see how he plays under Daniel Jones. And then if he has a couple of nice games, maybe you roster him. But right now, he's an unknown commodity, mainly because of the fact we haven't seen the whole rapport between him and Daniel Jones just yet. And we're going to have that question answered as the games progress. And so Malik Nabers, while I really like him, he's an interesting prospect. He's definitely one of the better receivers in this draft class. I don't know if he's in the best situation to thrive early on in his rookie campaign because of Daniel Jones. And so that is why I think we are going to leave that wide receiver position group be for just a minute. Let's look at the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks obviously don't get talked enough about in fantasy. And so I just want to give them their due process right now, because this is one of the most talented rookie classes we had in a while in terms of quarterbacks. Obviously, you have guys like Caleb. You have guys like Jaden Daniels, even lower end guys like Drake May and J.J. McCarthy. And then kind of more projects in Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, who are really interesting propositions in a league that's definitely shifting to a younger mindset in terms of the quarterback position. You want to get younger at the quarterback position, and so many different teams want to do that. So let's look at Caleb Williams, obviously in one of the better rookie quarterback situations right now in terms of the weapons he has at his disposal. He has DJ Moore, he has Keenan Allen now, and he also has Rome Odunze drafted alongside him as well at the number 9 overall pick. So he definitely has all the assets to thrive. The question is, what will he do with them? And so, looking at his projections for this year, he's projected to average 282 fantasy points this year. Not that bad. Kind of puts him in like the QB 13 to 15 range, if I'm being honest with you. He's projected to have a 24 to 11 touchdown to interception ratio. He's projected to go over 4,000 yards, which is huge for a rookie quarterback. And it's mainly down to those expectations people have of him immediately stepping into the Chicago Bears system under, many different guys who want to help him and progress this offense. I think that he might be in shaky hands under Matt Eberflus. He's a more defensive-minded kind of guy, but Caleb Williams definitely isn't a quarterback who's just going to be a systems guy who just distributes the ball come what may. He's going to want to throw the ball far down the field and get all these receivers involved. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to go quietly into the night in his rookie campaign. I think he's going to come out swinging and guns blazing. And so, Caleb Williams, while I wouldn't necessarily take him, definitely not in a super flex league because you don't want to risk that second QB pick on a rookie this early on. In a 1 QB league, he might be a nice little backup QB option. I could see him going in the mid, 3rd, 4th rounds. I definitely don't think he's going to be as high as other quarterbacks because we don't know what he is yet. And also in a rookie class that's kind of crowded at the QB position, who knows. So let's move to the next rookie quarterback who people are all abuzz about. Jaden Daniels, obviously a breakout season at LSU, vaulted him to that 2nd overall pick in the draft. And he comes into a Washington Commanders team that might be a bit more unexpected than people think. They definitely have a structure they are building on the offensive side of the football that I really like. They added Austin Eckler. They already have 2 fantastic young receivers in Terry McLaurin and Jayon Dotson. They have a solid tight end in Logan Thomas. So Jaden Daniels is also set up for success early on in his career. Looking at his projections, he's projected to have 207 fantasy points. He has over 3,700 yards and 21 to 11 touchdown to interception ratio. I think that's very solid for what people expect of him. And also, one thing he certainly has over Caleb Williams is his ability to run the football. Obviously, Caleb Williams runs the football, but more in a way to scheme people open. He's not running to get yardage. He's running to find people down the field, whereas Jaden Daniels runs to take off. And so that can definitely add upside to him, but also he becomes more risk to turnovers. So Jaden Daniels is also one of those flyer guys where I think he's going to put up major numbers, huge, gaudy numbers early on in his career, but also due to the risk of running the football with your quarterback, he might be prone to turnovers, especially in a much more physical league. Whereas in the SEC, obviously you had that kind of NFL-level defenders bearing down on you. But also, I think that Jaden Daniels, out of this rookie quarterbacks right now, has the most upside in terms of what he can do in his rookie season due to the fact that he can put up major numbers. And there's one guy to round off, the guy who everyone's excited about, mainly due to his speed and verticality, Xavier Worthy. I think that Xavier Worthy is going to be a very interesting gadget kind of player for the Chiefs. He's not necessarily going to be utilized just as a receiver. I could see him as a kick returner and punt returner as well. Projected to have over 843 yards, only 4 touchdowns, but 62 receptions and 120 fantasy points overall. As you can see, I think that people are kind of concerned because obviously speedy receivers in the past have not necessarily panned out in the NFL. But Xavier Worthy is unlike any fast receiver we've seen in recent memory, because he can route run as well. He's not just pace. He's not just go and post routes. He is a route runner as well. He can run any concept on the route tree. So look for him and Patrick Mahomes to develop a nice little rapport, maybe a bit later in the season. But that should just about do it for this segment of this show. Our last segment for today's show, I'm going to take a look at some of the fantasy hockey stars that have really impressed me over this past hockey season. You don't want to miss it. It should be a fantastic segment to conclude the week. You are going to love this segment, and we are going to be right back with it.